In just 1 week, I'm gonna be attending my first ever Taekwondo class. So to not make a complete fool out of myself, I'm gonna do some practice to get ready using my Quest 3 headset and this new app I was just asked to check out, PozeAR. Over the past 4 years, I've reviewed dozens of VR fitness apps, and although many succeed at giving you a great workout, while some really don't, very few apps focus on teaching a technical skill, at least not one as complicated as Taekwondo. In the coming week, I'm going to be doing my best to learn a sport I know very little about, because on Friday afternoon, I will attend an in-person class, and we'll see how many of the other Taekwondo students will pick up that this will be my first class ever. But first, let me introduce you to PozeAR. PozeAR is an augmented reality martial arts training app, currently available on MetaQuest App Lab. The game is free to use and comes with 5 different patterns that you can learn and practice. You can also create an account and purchase additional patterns for $15 each. And since PozeAR is sponsoring this video, I get to try out all of them. PozeAR is an augmented reality app, which means the elements of the app exist within the world around you. So there's no room setup needed when using it, and there's no VR, like fully immersive version. The app also uses hand tracking, and you do have to turn it on before you start using it. PozeAR teach you real Taekwondo patterns, which are an integral part of the sport. Because of this, you do need a lot of space, like roughly 3 by 3 meters or 10 by 10 feet. You can technically get away with a smaller space, but I wouldn't recommend it. Looking at the ground while in the startup screen will show you an estimate of how much space you will need. You can grab onto the recenter button on the menu board and adjust the center of the room if you need to. PozeAR gives you the option to choose between 2 different styles of Taekwondo: the Shanghai or International Taekwondo Federation style, or Kukiwon, World Taekwondo style. Okay, so super hilarious, like sidebar. When I was researching all of this to put the video together, I found out that the World Taekwondo actually used to be called the World Taekwondo Federation, but they changed their name in 2017 because the abbreviation was a little too familiar with one you might be using in a slightly different setting. Kukiwon is the form used in competitions such as the Olympic Games and is more modern and sparring focused, while Shanghai is more traditional and focused on self-defense, while allowing punches to the face. Right now, PozeAR has more patterns available for Kukiwon than for Shanghai, but more are on the release radar. All right, so let's find out how much work I have to get done over the next week. I had a hard time finding a large enough space to practice and film, so I decided to use my headset outside in the morning while our yard was mostly shaded. I was also told to start with Shanghai and the Sajijuru patterns, as they are the easiest and a great way to familiarize myself with the app. Each pattern is practiced through 8 or 9 different levels, which gradually removes aids, making them more difficult as you go on. I admit I did find the introduction levels a bit slow and fairly repetitive. I was just standing there and waiting for the same things to be said over and over. But by the time I got to level like 5 and 6, things were moving along like super fast. So I definitely felt grateful for having a little bit more time in the beginning. The first 2 patterns weren't very difficult to remember, but working my way through the Kukiwon patterns got a lot more complicated. When practicing your patterns, you are aided by 2 instructors, so you can see the movements you're expected to execute. A yellow guide will show you how to move your hands, a green guide will show you where your hands and legs should finish at the end of the pose, and green arrows indicate which direction you should rotate, which is really handy because some of them are not very intuitive. There's also a yellow circle around your foot for letting you know if you should keep it in place or twist it, like in a turn. The multiple cues and the ability to repeat the pattern as many times as you need on any of the different levels made it super easy to get through at least a few of them. Practicing these moves when you're just going back to back and back is fairly easy and it makes it really easy to remember everything. But having to go to a class and like remember all the patterns then out of context, that's something completely different. I'm gonna have to practice a lot this week if I'm expecting to fool anyone. So it's time I let you in on a little secret. The class that I'm going to be attend on Friday is in a studio that's run by some really good friends of mine, Mr. Dumoulin and Miss Stratachek. So Miss Stratachek, or Nicole, we go really far back. So we used to take our undergrad together, and we also taught like Zumba classes and all kinds of things together. She's also a former world champion in Taekwondo. I knew I just had to get them involved and do something fun, although I might be regretting that right now. That also means I was able to borrow her studio to get some extra practice. It was super cool to use PozeAR in the setting it's supposed to be used. And although I was super grateful that the studio was empty, I am definitely starting to feel more confident in the app and in the patterns. Taekwondo consists of multiple parts. So your fundamental movings, sparring, patterns, breaking of stuff, and self-defense. So the patterns, or Poomsea, allows you to practice different components of the martial arts, like technique, breathing, balance, strength, coordination. And practicing Poomsea regularly can improve all of these aspects, as well as help with improving your focus, concentration, and reducing stress. Working on these patterns in my yard have been incredibly peaceful and empowering, and I have no doubt that I will continue to use this practice even when this challenge is over. It is Friday, which means today I go to class. I am so not ready for this. Throughout the week, I've made it through most of the Poomsea in PozeAR. And while I'm in the app, I feel super confident, but I still have no idea what to expect. I keep returning to patterns that I have already passed to try and remember them, but I have no idea if I'm moving at the right speed or what my technique is like. I also thought my kicks were awesome until I watched my video back. I have a feeling this will be the hardest move to fade. If you have a Crest Pro, you can attach your controllers to your legs to get a better full body tracking experience. But it only works with the Crest Pro controllers, as they have a different tracking method than Quest 2 and 3. I've really appreciated the replay function, which allows me to look at my own movements after each round, and I can easily see which poses I am less confident about. My only complaint is that PozeAR uses head tracking as the main indicator of whether or not you've completed a pose. So during level 8 and 9 practice rounds, when you are asked to move at your own pace, the app seemed to think I've already relocated myself when I'm still trying to find my ground, forcing me to move at a much faster pace than I am ready for. This is why I've found practicing at like level 6 or maybe 7 the best when I go back and repeat. But I've done what I can do, so it's time to try out the challenge mode and see how it goes. This is gonna be interesting. Here it goes. I gotta admit, I'm really nervous, kind of terrified. We'll see how this goes.
When all the thin ones is out of it, and then I'm gonna see where I put
Good thing I wasn't worried about the kicks giving away my newness.
100 side kicks total, 50 on each leg. Yes, sir. Sit. Make sure the reach shaker. Yes, sir.
This is like my greatest moment. When we spar non-contact. My job is to make you a better fighter. Try not to like kick and punch each other in the face. We don't want to kick to the back. Like the side is okay, but this is not. And then nothing below the belt.
Okay, and that's tournament rules too?
ITF style.
Okay, yeah. It's more like my brain thinking right now, trying to figure out where the gaps are.
Yeah, and then once you learn some combinations, like, okay, I'm gonna try a front leg kick.
Right.
And then I'm gonna do 2 punches.
I recognize like the turn, so it's like as soon as you did that, I was like, oh yeah, there's one of the patterns where there's...
Trying to teach you to like pivot on your ball of your patterns is patterns and sparring is sparring.
Fair enough.
I'm not gonna do this in sparring, but I might just like deflect.
So what role does the patterns play then?
Like definitely you need balance, right, to do patterns, and you definitely need balance in sparring. So that's really one that crosses over. As far as hand positions and the actual techniques in the patterns, that's like kind of the art form of the martial art. Whereas like today's class is all fighting based.
Guys, my friend Jean, she's never done a Taekwondo class, but she did actually awesome. We'll bow out, but then we're do a quick little white belt test for team. And then
What?
ready?
Yep.
Straight.
Even though I practiced all week, I am incredibly grateful that patterns were not a part of the class curriculum today. So although I'm clearly no professional, I was really happy to see at least a few surprised faces when Nicole announced that this was my first Taekwondo class ever. I am super excited to have had this experience, and I've learned so much about Taekwondo, and I'm really intrigued to keep learning and perhaps attend a few more classes in the future. PozeAR has really impressed me, and I can see a ton of value in this app, not just for Taekwondo students practicing for their next belt promotion, but also for recreational users who are looking for low-impact exercises. These Poomsea are also excellent for those who have not yet found a meditation practice that they enjoy, as the mindfulness and flow of the movements and the breathing that you do, this really helps focus the mind in a similar way as meditation. And when I was talking to Nicole, she also said she's so excited about the potential of using PozeAR to help students learn new Poomsea in a motivating way, while also helping prepare new students who are entering into the dojo for the very first time, like I did. I find PozeAR is a unique new app, which is just really well done and has a ton of potential. The startup screen teases you the future releases of patterns related to karate, aikido, kung fu, tai chi, and yoga, which is not only ambitious, but also incredibly exciting. As technology improves, new doors open for apps and game developers looking to bring classes and instruction to the VR marketplace. Over the past few weeks, I've not only had a chance to learn new basic Poomsea, but also mastered the basic steps of salsa dancing. So if you're interested in seeing how that went, you can check out this video right here.